What did Taehyung actually say after Jungkook's concert was over? Why did the camera deliberately not highlight the moment? And why did the army who witnessed it immediately cry silently in their seats? When the stage lights go out, one sentence from Taehyung shatters the emotional defenses of everyone who hears it. But why doesn't HYB want the spread? Taehyung's reaction makes ARMY cry. What did he say after Jungkook finished the concert? The camera does not highlight this moment, but eyewitnesses confirmed it. What really happens after the stage lights go out? Have you ever watched a concert that was so magnificent, so mesmerizing, and then it was as if time stopped a moment after it was all over? As the lights went out, the cheers began to subside, and the audience began to stand up to leave their seats. Suddenly a word was spoken. A voice not heard by the cameras, not recorded by the media, but heard by enough armies to silence the world. That sentence wasn't from anyone, it was from Kim Taehyung. And after he said it, the mood changed completely. Even the staff behind the stage suddenly lowered their heads, while some fans were seen crying quietly while staring blankly at the dark stage. But what exactly did he say? Jungkook's one special concert just ended. The solo concert was full of emotion, full of highlights, and a testament to his greatness as an individual artist after years of performing with BTS. However, no one expected that it was precisely these seconds after the concert that became an emotional turning point for many. When all the attention seemed to be over, the cameras had been turned off, the spotlight had gone out, and the personnel began to prepare to leave the scene, something was different. A voice that sounds clear but still, like a prayer that does not want to be indulged but deliberately delivered. And it came from Taehyung. Did Taehyung cry that night? Some witnesses said they saw his eyes wet, although he tried to keep smiling. But it wasn't her tears that made everyone speechless. The words he said, which were heard by the army who were quite close to the ranks of the sound crew, were not just congratulations. It's not good job. It's not I'm proud of you. It's something much deeper, something that seems to hold a burden for years. You know, I was afraid you wouldn't come back. That was the word that came out of Taehyung's mouth. A phrase that shook the souls of many fans. So many of them laughed and cried. So many of them 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 cried. A sentence that made the atmosphere cool, although the night was heated by the ardor of thousands of spectators. A word spoken only once, but enough to reopen wounds that may have been buried all along. But what does that mean? Why did Taehyung say that? Why was he ever afraid Jungkook wouldn't come back? Is it just about the concert? Or is there something much deeper that is never talked about in public? ARMY was divided. Some thought it was just an emotional joke, but others believed there was a hidden trauma that ended up coming out unfiltered. A backstage staffer, who asked to remain anonymous, claimed that after the concert was over and the stage was lowered, Taehyung stood near the lighting control panel. He didn't seem to be talking to anyone, just silent, then walked slowly towards the back of the stage. That's where I met Jungkook. They don't hug, not even shaking hands. They just stood next to each other. Taehyung's voice sounded low. I was afraid you wouldn't come back, he said. And Jungkook, according to witnesses, did not answer anything. He just nodded slowly, then looked at the ceiling of the venue as if holding something that was almost spilled. What does Taehyung mean by not coming back? Is it about those times when Jungkook seemed distant and stressful? Many old soldiers still remember the days when Jungkook was not very active, even almost disappeared from social media, and only appeared through updates from the agency. There were times when rumors about mental stress, burnout, and even the desire to go on hiatus appeared. Is this what Taehyung meant? And if it is true, does this mean that the moments after the concert are not a celebration, but the emotional release of a wound that never heals? Why didn't HYB include that moment in the official documentation? Why aren't the cameras pointed at them? Why doesn't the lighting highlight both, when technically they stand in a highly visible area? Some fans who filmed with mobile phones even stated that when they tried to focus the camera towards Taehyung and Jungkook, the security system immediately asked them to lower their devices. What exactly is being guarded? One thing is certain, the ARMY's reaction is undeniable. Many of them come home with puffy eyes. The hashtag Taehyung after the stage trended on social media despite not a single official cut from the agency, showing that interaction. The fans who used to write fan accounts also seemed more calm, as if there was some kind of unwritten agreement not to spread anything too private. But the more guarded, the more questions arise. Was there anything that happened before this concert that moved Taehyung to say such a profound thing? Is it about the comeback process? Or is there an old conflict that has just recovered? Is there any connection to the tough times Jungkook went through while putting together his solo album? Or, and this is the question that choked many in the ARMY, was there a moment when Jungkook really barely came back? Witnesses from the front row said they also saw Taehyung grasping a small object as he approached the stage. Something that looks like an old brown keychain. Many suspect it is a gift from trainee times or a memorable object they once shared. Some hardcore fans even suspected it was a keyring that had appeared in one of BTS's old Variety episodes, which Jungkook used to give Taehyung during one of the emotional moments in their first year of debut. If true, then Taehyung's statement that night was not just spontaneous. It was planned, intended, and that makes it much heavier than we thought. The ARMY has not stopped talking about it. Some made a full analysis of how Jungkook's expression during the final song looked deeper than usual. Some compare the footage of this concert with previous concerts, trying to find differences in gestures or gazes. Others have linked it to cryptic posts from Jungkook in the past, such as wordless captions, blurred photos, or short voice notes that are not given context. Then comes a darker theory. Is this concert some kind of phase closure? A symbolic moment between two friends who once drifted apart and are now back at a more mature point? And if so, why was it done in secret? Not on camera, not in public. That night, Jungkook's concert was spectacular. But for many soldiers who see more than just lights and songs, the most honest moment comes when it's all over. When the stage was dark, the camera stopped turning, and there were only two people left standing still in the dark, understand each other without saying too many words. That night, just one sentence from Taehyung changed everything, and the world, not ready to accept everything. But what about Jungkook? Did he know that the word would be spoken that night? Did he realize that even though the concert had ended, an emotional concert had just begun in the hearts of the millions who heard about the moment of silence? Why does it just nod slowly without saying anything? Isn't Jungkook usually someone who is expressive, who never hesitates to hug or even cry in front of his best friend? Why this time? He chose silence. Another witness from the lineup said that a few minutes after that moment, Jungkook was seen getting into the van ahead of the other members. He didn't thank the crew as usual, didn't say Annyeong or Gomawo to the backstage coordinators. Just one nod. Just one short sentence. Tomorrow, please don't look for me. A sentence that, again, ignites the fire of new questions. What does "don't look for me" mean? Does Jungkook need time alone? Is this concert too emotionally heavy? Did Taehyung's words remind him of something he had been avoiding all along? Or is there a more personal reason, more secret, that cannot be explained through the lens of the camera? What's even more surprising is what Taehyung did shortly after Jungkook left. He didn't get into the van. He stood on the edge of the stage, staring at the empty seats previously filled with ARMY. Someone said he could be seen lifting something off the stage floor, a small, barely visible object, like a dropped photograph or perhaps a scribble of paper. He stared at it for a few seconds and then put it in your pocket without saying a word. Who dropped it? What's in it? Why did Taehyung's expression change instantly after seeing it? One of the lighting crew who was shutting down the system stated that Taehyung looked devastated, although he didn't cry openly. His gaze is blank, but not empty, like confused people. It's like someone who is holding back so as not to break. He said, ARMY then began to associate this moment with several previous interactions between Jungkook and Taehyung that were considered awkward by loyal fans. In one of the interviews before the concert, when asked if any BTS members would be attending the concert in person, Jungkook only replied with a faint smile and said, if they have time. But the expression on his face doesn't indicate certainty, as if there was any doubt or hope. And that night, Taehyung was present, without much talking, without Instagram uploads, without fanfare announcements as usual. It comes like a shadow and goes like a secret that a fan account sitting in the VVIP row shared a story that made a lot of ARMY. But what inevitably follows that night is a question that continues to haunt the army of millions. Does only Taehyung know? Was he the only one who felt that Jungkook had drifted so far away that there was a fear that he would not return? Or everyone knows, but only Taehyung is brave enough to say it. Amid the wave of emotion and silence that enveloped the concert, many eyes were on the BTS members who were also present. Jin, who had just returned from his military service, appeared to be present sitting in the back row with HYB's staff. Suga was not seen in person, but Army, who was in the VIP area, testified that there was someone very similar to him standing in the shadow of the lighting tower. J-Hope, known for being always expressive and full of energy, only gave fans a brief smile before disappearing behind the backstage door. None of them made any comments after the concert. Not a single one. And the most curious, of course, Jimin. Where was Jimin that night? Why is he invisible? Isn't he known as the person closest to Jungkook? Why exactly was Taehyung the only one who uttered that emotional line when everyone thought such a moment would come from Jimin? One speculation that has arisen in international army forums is that Jimin did not attend not because he was not invited, but because he himself could not attend. A fan from Japan who is part of the international fanbase claimed to have received a message from internal staff that Jimin had come to the rehearsal location a few days before the concert, but cried in silence when he saw Jungkook rehearsing alone. He didn't say anything, just watched from a distance and left without a word. What this means is that Jungkook keeps his distance not just from Taehyung, of all the members. Things got even more complicated when ARMY realized something that had gone unnoticed. The last song Jungkook performed that night wasn't part of the initial setlist. The song is titled Silent Moon, a song that was never officially released before. In fact, this song was never mentioned in any album tracklist. Few people know that this song was written by Jungkook in 2022, but he never finished it until now. The lyrics of Silent Moon began to circulate widely after some fans managed to record it. And the verses of the song, like a secret letter that has been buried deep. The first stanza reads, "When all the noise disappears, and only my heartbeat remains, I ask, who is still waiting for me behind that light?" And the closing verse, which Jungkook sings with his eyes closed, "I don't know if you heard it, but I'm back, not for the world, just for the one voice that once called my name in the dark." Is this for Taehyung? For Jimin? Or for himself? No one knows for sure, but the vibe ARMY felt when the song was sung couldn't lie. Even the stage lighting seemed to understand its meaning. No special effects. Just one spotlight from above, straight to Jungkook's standing position.
No pyrotechnics.
There is no full-color LED display. Just silence and light. Some soldiers even admitted to having panic cry, that is, crying in a state of emotional shock because they did not expect the ending song to be so intimate and honest. Some others fainted. And many could not move from their seats even 15 minutes after the concert was declared over. One fanboy who was present at the concert and sat in the media area said that the song, Silent Moon, made him cry because he felt as if Jungkook was delivering the last message. It's not like a goodbye, but like an apology. Like, "I'm sorry I almost gave up. And it destroyed me," she said in one of the now viral threads. Where's Taehyung in all this? What made him feel strong enough to come and say directly to Jungkook that he was once afraid he wouldn't come back? Was it because he had witnessed the darkest side of Jungkook himself, the side that was not shown to the public? Or is it because he himself was once part of the distance that they did not want to talk about? In the past, during the last BTS promotion before the hiatus, there was a moment where Taehyung and Jungkook didn't look as familiar as usual. Many fans thought it was just a gimmick or fatigue. But after this concert, it all came back into question. Is there really something going on between them? Something deep enough to make them move away from each other, then find each other again, in silence? ARMY began to hunt down every little interaction they had during the concert. Some even zoom in on each frame of the fan cam to see if there are any touches, glances, or micro-expressions that could provide clues. And from all the footage, one consistent thing emerges. As Taehyung spoke to Jungkook that night, he held onto his own chest, right in the heart. This small gesture sparked a psychological analysis from fans who also have a background in mental health education. They call that movement a nonverbal signal of unfinished trauma. that when someone holds part of their heart while conveying something,